welcome to Powerful Legacy TV. I'm your host, Randy Major, and joining me today from Powerful Legacy Insurance and Financial Services are Kristina Ping-Kepperling and Rob Kepperling. Hello again. How are you this week?
Wonderful. Thank you. Great to be here with you.
Good to be here with you. Hi, Rob.
Hi.
So what do we want to get into today? Last week we talked a lot about, the changes in the world right now, inflation being so big. I know there's a lot of folks watching today, and I think if they're in that retirement red zone, they should pay extra attention. But what exactly does that mean? What is the retirement red zone?
We love retirement red zone because that means you're getting close to retirement. That's exactly what that means.
So what years would you say that you're in the red zone?
Well, for you that are very fabulous out there, I'm going to say it's going to be your early to mid 50s. And for some of you that are normal like the rest of us human beings, it's going to be your mid 50s or so to early 60s. You're starting to get into that red zone. You need to be planning for retirement, talking about retirement, and meeting with someone to discuss your retirement strategy.
Of course. Now is the time, right? We can't delay any further once we're approaching that red zone. It's crunch time.
That's right.
So do you think most people are, intimidated when they're getting closer? Are they more excited? What is the vibe of your clients coming in the office?
Well, it's very personal. Just like a belly button, everyone has their opinion. Well, everyone has their personality concerning retirement too. Some people are really excited because they want to tell their boss, take this job and shove it. Because they're just so tired. They're tired of the work drama and, that mundane, if it may be in a factory, whatever it may be, and you're just ready to just be done with it. Mm-hmm. Then for some people, they are a little hesitant. I really love my career. I've got some projects I want to finish. I want to try and strategize out a couple years because I know that I want to be completed before I want to make that next step into retirement, or even transitional retirement. We'll talk about that a little bit too.
Okay. What are some of the mistakes that you see folks, making as they're strategizing their own retirement?
I think that could come early on in saving, not having enough, spending it on other things. We talk about this all the time at home, maybe spending it on kids when they don't have the money for school, extra education, things of that nature. I think there's different strategies for everybody. But it's just how you're going to get there to enjoy that decumulation of money.
Our two youngest sons, they will probably never retire. They're going to have to wait to inherit their legacy from us when we die because, they are the best at spending money on really stupid things. And when I think about those young years, I'm talking these personalized cell phone cases and all this crazy stuff that doesn't really matter, custom seat covers for your car. And when they're young and we're talking about all those silly things they're spending money on, they're not saving for retirement. Right. And I think that having good saving habits at an early age is a really good way to jumpstart into a really good retirement later on down the road. And when you're giving us a call for that complimentary consultation, folks, that 877-893-5099, the retirement train is a complimentary copy just for you. We have plenty waiting just for you. So give us a call. Again, that number on the screen, 877-893-5099. And we'll talk a little bit about those mistakes that are taking place, because in the retirement train, it starts off in Kidville. So ages 0 to 20, what are those mistakes that you're making? What could you be doing to do a little bit better? And we talk a little bit about enabling people. Enabling your children to make those mistakes. You don't sit and bail them out all the time. That's not the best thing to do. Just a little hint.
I really hope my parents are turning into the show today, because my little sister, I feel like always, they're just kind of like an endless stream of money. And for me watching, I almost get nervous. Like they're retired. They have to be careful.
They do.
It's hard. And with the younger generation, what they say is, they're driving their retirements because that's what matters then. They're not thinking so far ahead. They're going to be retired one day and need that money.
They will. And our middle child said something that we'll never let him live down. He said, I'm not high maintenance. I just like nice things.
He did.
So now we bring it up all the time, and he regrets every minute of it.
We all do really like nice things and those great comforts of life. And I think we're all comfort creatures of habit. We like our nice warm homes. We like food in our bellies. But when you're talking about retirement savings, that's something that I always go back to, whose paycheck is it? So when you're talking about beginning to save for retirement, rather, I think about who earned my paycheck. Well, it was me. So I'm going to pay myself first, because when you're paying yourself first in retirement savings, that's how it should be because you earn the paycheck, right? You don't want to give all that money to creditors and bills and all that nonsense. And so we really sit and break down a budget. What does that look like for you? If you're just starting to save for retirement, so let's say that maybe you're a grandparent out there or a parent and you're listening for your children. Here's a little bit of advice here. This is so fun. So when your child is earning their very first paycheck, don't let them spend more than 50% of it. So 50% needs to go into personal savings, maybe church tithing, whatever it is that your family believes, and let them learn to only feel half of that. Because then when their FICA comes along, it's not going to feel so awful either.
Yeah, we in my family growing up, Dad had a thing for us, my brother and I. And it was whatever we come up with, he would match it for our first car. And he got a little worried about me. I had my first job at 12, so I was going to get a Corvette at some point. And he was getting really scared. And then I spent some of that money down when I turned 16. But I think that's a good way to teach responsibility to children, is to make them pay for the first half of their vehicle, and that determines what they get.
That's such good advice. And I love how family oriented you are and how you instill, such just good habits already for your clients to pass on to their children. So important, especially now, because right now we all have too much information at our fingertips. We're Googling everything. Social media is just constant comparison, which is why they need the nice things and the nice cars. And it's constant comparison to others. So it's a really slippery slope. And, that leads me to my next kind of topic is, water cooler advice, Googling your retirement strategy. It's so tempting. If you type it in your Google search bar and you're going to come up with a lot of different information. So how do you deal with that?
Well, have you ever done this yourself?
No, I haven't.
It's quite fascinating. I did. I really wanted to see. So, and if you start talking about this, it's so funny. Our phones are here close by. So this is what's going to happen. And as you're hearing this on TV, your phone's going to do the same thing. So I want you to open up your favorite browser, and I want you to type in there, am I ready for retirement? Am I ready for retirement? It's going to pull up all these little quizzes from all these different companies that are farming all this information. And then what's going to happen is some salesperson's going to give you a call, and if you have $500,000 or more, we'll take your case. That's not the way it should be at all. Let's sit down and have a real talk with real human beings. How you doing? We're doing great. And we're going to make sure that we give you that holistic experience that you deserve.
Yes,
we want to make
absolutely.
sure that it's very personal. See what you need, not what someone on the internet needs. I mean, that would be like going on to WebMD,
Oh, that's the worst.
mosquito bite, and then next thing you know, you're dying from some terrible disease in South Africa.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was my point. Well, now is the perfect time to actually explain what the viewers are going to get today and what your complimentary review looks like.
Yes, we have a complimentary review for you. So you bring in information that we'll request from you, and we'll sit down with you and help you develop a personal strategy for your retirement, and let you know things that you could do better, things that you're doing well on, and we'll get to know one another in the process. And just like you're choosing us as your professional, we're choosing you as our client, and we want to get to know one another and help you choose the right strategy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. To the viewers at home, those phone lines are now open. We do encourage you to pick up the phone and call and get your complimentary review today. That number is on your screen. It's 877-893-5099. Again, that's 877-893-5099. We will be right back. We're going to take a very short commercial break, but please do stay with us. Back with more. Stay tuned.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Your Powerful Legacy TV. Thank you so much for joining us today. In the last segment, we talked a little bit about being in the retirement red zone, but how important it is to start planning your retirement as early as possible, really. And in this segment, we're going to get to talking about some mistakes to avoid while you're strategizing your retirement. So, besides, waiting until it's too late,
yes,
what are some other, common pitfalls, common mistakes that folks tend to make?
So speaking of mistakes, it always makes me think about my siblings, and I know you're totally going to relate to this one. All of us do. We have siblings here, and I am the oldest of 8, so I'm kind of the ringleader of all of our siblings, and I always think about mistakes because when I make a mistake, I feel like they're going to learn from it. Well, I watch my own boys, and those 3 stinkers, oh my gosh. They were talking the other day about young ladies and dating young ladies because the middle one, he's maybe got a new prospect going on. And the older one's like, oh, dude, you can't afford a girlfriend. They're too expensive. You like your fun things more than you do anything else. And I think about their little talks about their spending habits and the way they know each other. And I want you to get to know yourself. What are your spending habits and what are your saving habits? I think if you don't know those things about yourself, that's a big mistake. And I think delaying savings, I think that's a really big mistake in retirement because if you delay those savings, then obviously you're not going to get to where you want to be. Mm-hmm. Another thing to talk about is assuming that you're going to retire at the age and the dollar amount that you want. A lot of times, folks, that's not going to happen. And let me tell you, that number one reason is because of health problems. I do see so many folks that they'll come in, and I have a couple that they are very near and dear to me, and they've been my clients for several years now, and it was almost time for the husband to retire. In his early 70s, we were talking about hanging it up and jumping into those distribution years, and he did a really good job saving. And unfortunately, before he could get to his retirement date, he had a massive stroke. So we had to retire him early. And unfortunately, we're retiring his wife early as well, so we can make sure that he has someone to take care of him. Mm-hmm. And this is something that's very real. Mm-hmm. It's not just mm-hmm. Oh, let me tug the heartstrings, because I also have a client who was supposed to retire, let's just call the date, it's supposed to be on the 5th of the month, of 1 month, and he passed away on the 4th. It changes everything. Mm-hmm. And the extensive experience and the wonderful connections that I've had with families have helped us know exactly what to do. You don't have to wonder what to do. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing you're getting, is you never have to wonder, am I going to be okay? Am I going to be on track for retirement? Because we know exactly what to do to help you. This is what we're seeking for you and with you, and we will be successful at it. So don't hesitate, pick up the phone, give us a call, that 877-893-5099. And even if you're not calling in for a complimentary review, you just want to come in for a second opinion, that is also available. And you may think that you already have a great strategy in place. You may have a huge binder that's full of all these charts and graphs, but how much income will you have for the rest of your life, down to the penny? And are you going to outlive that income? I don't have a crystal ball. We can't shake that and see when it's going to be, but we can get you very, very close, and we can make sure that you're not going to outlive that retirement money. Mm-hmm.
I think some of the other mistakes that we see in retirement is where people getting close to retirement, they've changed jobs, and then they have money sitting in one 401, and they decide to take that and take the penalties and put a pool in or something that costs $75,000, $80,000. And then they're taking all of the penalties. They're not being really responsible with that money instead of saving up over time to afford to pay that out. Right. You'll see different things of that nature. You'll see people paying for more things on their children. We want to give our children everything that they want. Sometimes we need to give everything that they need instead.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. I mean, we're not living in a time anymore where you have the same career your whole career. We're
Right.
switching jobs. So what happens to, those 401ks? Do people tend to forget about them? And can you find them later? What happens there?
So a lot of times they do forget about them. And one of the ways that becomes a problem or a mistake in retirement is because let's say that you work until you're 72 years old. And remember, the Secure Act of 2020 changed your required minimum distributions from 70 and a half up to 72. So let's say you're 72, you're still working, and you have all these different 401ks, maybe IRAs at other custodians that you've just left there. You've got to figure out where all that is and take your RMDs or you're going to be in trouble. That's a 50% penalty if you don't.
Wow.
So kind of streamlining, talking to someone about getting all that information together and how to really make sure your strategy will be successful. It is crucial to a successful retirement.
Absolutely crucial. Every penny matters. So if you haven't
does.
seen someone in a long time and may have some old 401ks out there, I encourage you to go ahead and call right now. Call the number on your screen and meet with Kristina and Rob. But some more, mistakes. Credit card debt. How many folks are carrying a lot of debt, and what impact does that have on their retirement?
Well, I think it's grown a lot. We've got a lot of folks out of work right now, and we won't know for a while to see what the credit card debt levels are going up to. I have to think that it's increasing. I think people are maybe living beyond their means right now, especially with inflation and cost of housing that we had already talked about.
Right.
I think we have to be mindful of that and kind of watch what we're spending, get it down. But we've also had it the other way around. We don't want them to spend it down or take everything that you can towards it in the detriment of your health as well when they're eating things they shouldn't be eating just to save a penny to be able to put towards it. So we need to have a healthy balance of that.
Right.
There's some really good motivational speakers out there. I know many of us can think of a couple that are talking about debt. Debt is not sinful. Having excess debt is sinful, and we don't want anything to be in excess, just like that plate of brownies. I will say I'm so sinful, I'll eat the whole thing. I just can't resist myself. And so when we're talking about debt, don't be upset if you do go into retirement with a mortgage. This is very common these days, and as long as you're not in excess, you're probably going to be okay, as long as we have the strategy in place for that. And when we're talking about making those mistakes in retirement, I think that learning from your mistakes and getting them corrected by a professional is one of the best things that you could ever do.
Right. That's that. All they have to do is come in and really sit down so they don't make these mistakes. Sit down with you so you can really go over all of this stuff. And it doesn't have to be intimidating. It doesn't have to be scary. You're there to give them peace of mind. Really lay everything out so they can have a better understanding of what a peaceful retirement looks like.
Well, we don't have him here with us today, but normally when you come into the office in Lexington, you're going to see our little dog Zeus. He comes in the office pretty much every day, and he'll come to the door and greet you just with a little tail wag. He doesn't jump or bark or anything. He's just so pleasant, and most of the time our clients end up obsessed with our dog over listening to their strategy, but it is definitely a family, wonderful environment, and we keep a gourmet coffee bar at both of our firms. And again, if you're a little bit closer to Louisville, I know some of you viewers out there are closer to our Louisville office, just give us a call and we'll get it arranged to where you can see one of us over in the Louisville firm as well. And it's such a great pleasure for you to come in, enjoy talking about your retirement. And the sooner that you get that strategy in place, the better you're going to feel. I promise you, the more information you have and the sooner this is done, the better you're going to feel about your strategy.
Absolutely. Well, folks at home, the phone lines are now open. We're going to take a very short commercial break, but we do encourage you to go ahead and pick up the phone today. Go ahead and get your retirement on the right track right now. That number is on your screen, 877-893-5099. The first 10 callers today are going to get a complimentary consultation. Again, that number is on your screen, 877-893-5099. We're going to take a very short break, but we're going to be back with so much more. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place, then help determine if you are well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. you wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision. So why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you are getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Welcome back to Your Powerful Legacy TV. I'm your host, Randy Major. Joining me today are Kristina Payne-Kepperling and Rob Kepperling of Your Powerful Legacy Insurance and Financial Services. And today we're really just talking about, common mistakes, common pitfalls. We're all human. We all make mistakes. And, but when it comes to our retirement, we don't have to. We don't have to. That's where you come in. And today, the first 10 callers watching the show are going to get an opportunity to come in and meet with you. But let's get back to talking about those mistakes. So I think another big one that we want to touch on is leaving out, planning for that long-term insurance. How many people already have this in their strategy?
So talking about long-term care, we're obviously talking about your health. And long-term care insurance is so expensive. I cannot tell you that the sooner that it is that you buy it, the younger that you are that you buy it, the better off it is. But what if you can't afford it? It can be a use it or lose it insurance strategy, because what if you never do use it and you've paid all that premium all of these years and then you pass away peacefully at a very old age in your home and you never end up using that long-term care? That can be just devastating. So what are some other ways that we can maintain your health and maintain your financial health? And let's talk about that for just a second, folks. Retirement is not just finance. It's spiritual, it's emotional, it's mental, it's physical, and all of those things in one, and having someone who can give you that holistic experience, talking about all of it together, that's very, very important. And I'm seeing so many times that I get folks that come in and they've already got a strategy in place, and that's great. You'll come in with a big fat binder, all these charts and graphs, and I'll ask you the question, well, how do you feel about retiring? Like, well, what do you mean, how do I feel? I'm not thinking about that. I'm not thinking about my feelings. You should be. You should be thinking about that, because taking care of your emotional and your physical and your mental health is just as important as your financial health. And when I think about health in finances, I also think about your health with taxation in your finances. That is major. We don't really like the IRS. I mean, no offense if you work for them, but we want to stay away from taxes and those issues in retirement.
That's right. We don't want to overpay. I think that's what everybody looks at.
Sure.
And you don't know what you're going to get until you do have a professional helping you out. There could be something as simple as what we discussed earlier, as buying the retirement home because you want to pull from your 401k, or you want to do something else, or I'm sorry, not retirement, but rental properties. Mm-hmm. And it may be something that you lose in the long end. And we want to be there to help you and to be able to build that relationship with you. So folks, please give us a call at 877-893-5099. We would love to sit down and get to know you and come up with a strategy for you to help you and your family, whichever strategy that may be. We will tell you if you're on track. We will tell you if there's things that you need to do to improve, but we'll always have your best interest at heart.
Another mistake, Randy, you're not going to believe this one, but people actually think that their taxes are going to go down in retirement. What? I don't know where that's coming from. Where did that rumor come from? Probably the water cooler.
Right,
oh, my taxes will be less. I can live on less money. Probably not. Yeah. And I'm going to throw a couple numbers out there. So if you're sitting out with $500,000 to $1 million or more, you're probably worried about taxes. Aren't we all? Mm-hmm. Because you're in another bracket when you start pulling that income out, to where it's going to affect your Social Security. It could affect your overall retirement income strategy, because you may be paying more in a higher tax bracket than what you were planning on. Mm-hmm. And we don't want that. So as far as tax planning goes, we do keep a CPA, and he's one of our powerful partners. We push you on over to him. He does such a great job making sure that you're not going to overpay on taxes. And I do understand that it's not fun to talk about, but we do want to also make sure that your will and your estate is going to be in order. Mm-hmm. And we do have a powerful partner, an attorney sitting out there. I know he's watching right this moment. And we send our clientele over to our attorney and get that taken care of, because we know what it looks like when you don't have that in place. It's very difficult. Let's make this a holistic experience, all of it part of your retirement.
I love that holistic experience. And that's what you mean, is that you have, all the bases covered in one place, and really it's just a one-stop shop to
It is.
get all your retirement needs in order. I love that. I'd love to ask some viewer questions. The phone lines have been very busy and folks are calling in, so we have a couple questions if you don't mind.
Super.
I will go ahead and read that. The first one's pretty simple. Do I need life insurance in retirement?
Probably. Not always, but probably. If you are planning on dying after you're done retiring, then you probably need a little bit of something to take care of those expenses. But I'm just totally teasing. We all know that we're going to come to that stage, and it may be a possibility that you may need a small burial plan to be able to take care of those expenses, or you may not. Again, that holistic experience of speaking with a professional about your personal needs, that's going to answer the question.
Okay, thank you. Anything you want to add to that before I ask the next one?
No, so we're talking about the burial expense and keeping it minimum, and it depends on what kind of service or funeral that you want to have, right? And some could be as low as $5,000 up to $50,000 as far as what you're looking for and what you want your family to have for you, and to be able to put that aside.
Okay.
We have friends that are in the funeral business, and we've talked to them daily because that changes just like everything else on the cost of those things, and it's just people just don't understand it is expensive, and you want to plan for that.
Absolutely. Not something we want to think about, but something we need to.
It's something we need to, absolutely.
Okay, well, we just have a short time left. What is a stretch IRA, and why is it eliminated for non-spousal beneficiaries?
Okay, this is a really big one, folks. Listen up really close. So first off, if you are a widow, widower, or you're divorced, congratulations if you're divorced. No, I'm just teasing. And you do have an IRA, and you're passing that to a non-spousal beneficiary, so maybe to your children, grandchildren, charity, whatever it may be, you can no longer stretch that IRA over their lifetime. It must be turned into non-qualified money, so the taxes are paid within a 10-year span of time. They are trying to change this to 5 years, so keep your antennas up and be paying attention to what's going on.
Absolutely. You don't know what you don't know. And this is why it is so important not only to come in and get the ball rolling and really just gather your information, know what you're doing, but to get a second opinion too.
That's right. And on that spousal IRA, remember, for your spouses, you can stretch that IRA over their lifetime. And we love IRAs. An individual retirement arrangement is a great way to save. And if you have one of those but you don't know how to decumulate it, give us a call as well.
Okay, well, the phone lines are now open once again. Let's remind the viewers real quickly of your special offer today.
Great.
Please come in, give us a call, 877-893-5099 for your complimentary review. And we also have a copy of our book, Kristina's book, The Retirement Train for You.
Thank you so much. What a great show. Thank you to the viewers at home for watching. Stay tuned for next week. We'll be back with more.